Bennett was not a woodsman. She tromped through the forest with the rusty hand axe because her crone of a stepmother had announced that they needed firewood, and her kindly but aging father had gone along with it, as he always did. And so the young woman slowly circled the edge of their cabin's clearing, looking for the easiest tree to fell. There was that one tree, back behind the house, which was long dead. A jagged stump splintered where the crown of the tree had long ago broken and fallen, and undoubtedly ended up in the wood furnace of the house. There can't be much useful wood here, but if it's as rotten as it looks, it should be lighter to carry. It was possibly the least suitable firewood Bennett had ever seen, making it a perfect match for the least suitable woman she had ever seen, her stepmother. It may even smell funny when it burns. Ugh. Ah! Ah! What? You repulsive little mortal. You dare attack my home? Each hoarse word seemed to emerge from a bursting bubble, such that the ooze roiled as it spoke. I should rip your soul from your bones and feed your flesh to the worms. Please don't, Puddle, sir. Please. I am a demon. Only a suffering will please me. I must think of a curse that would befit your crime. If you knew my hag of a stepmother, you'd know I'm already suffering every— No. I know more than you can imagine. I know that you chose my tree because you were lazy, and you wanted to finish your task with the least amount of work. Bennett began crawling away, but the ooze bubbled up a grave malediction. I bind you to this task. You must count all the grains of sand in this desert. Until you have counted them all, you will be able to do nothing else save to drink from this bowl. This will provide enough water for you to survive, and as long as you drink from this bowl, you will need no food or sleep. You mortals are so fragile, and I wouldn't want you to die before completing your task, or at least putting in a good 50 or 60-year effort. Without thinking, Bennett shifted her weight to one side, and with the other hand she picked up a grain of sand. 1, 2... But as she dropped the second grain of sand, she could no longer tell which was the first one, and so she picked up another and counted 1. Excellent. I shall leave you to your task, mortal. Come to see me when you finish. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2... Bennett counted and lost track and counted many times, then crawled over and took a sip of the water, which had pooled at the bottom of the copper bowl. The water was clean, but was warmed to almost body temperature by the beating sun, such that as much as her parched mouth cried out for it, the taste was unsatisfying, like swallowing a mouthful of nothing. She began resting the grains of sand on her pant leg as she counted, and got over 200 before accidentally shifting her posture a little, causing several of the little specks to tumble down into the desert. She got back up to 61 when she thought of a better idea. What the demon had said was not exactly true. She could stop counting, for a moment. With great effort, Bennett was able to stop long enough to throw the sand off her pants, tear off one of her pant legs below the knee, and then tear the fabric down the seam and lay it flat. But by that time the compulsion overwhelmed her, and she began counting rapidly, piling the sand on the cloth. She got up to 83 before realizing she hadn't been breathing, and, after a few gasps, resumed counting at a normal pace. As she counted over 500, Bennett tried to concentrate harder, not wanting to have to start over, and it was only then when it truly sank in that this was not an arduous task, or even a very long task, but an impossible task. If it wasn't painfully obvious from her earlier efforts, and the many times she'd lost track already, now as she finally took time to think about the logistics of counting the desert, it was obvious that she could never count any significant amount of sand without losing track of which grains had been counted, and the sand extended as far as Bennett's eyes could see. No matter which direction she looked, there were either sand dunes near the horizon, or nothing at all. 3,429. 3,429. 3,429, she repeated, trying not to lose count between sips as she drank from the water bowl. Sitting down once more, next to the growing pile of counted grains, she added another, then another, when a gust of wind blew across the land. In a futile and belated gesture, she tried to cover her pile, but it was no use. At least a few of the coarse grains tumbled down the side and off the cloth square, and there was no way to be certain how many. In frustration, Bennett lifted the cloth and flung away all the sand, then used the torn pant leg to wipe the sweat from her brow. She laid 3 grains of sand on her leg and recounted the same 3 again and again, while she tried to think of a more rational solution. I need to get out of here. Maybe if I reach the edge, I can take a handful of sand with me and spend the rest of my life doing other things as I counted. And if the curse prevents that somehow, well, at least I wouldn't be alone in the heart of a desert. Maybe there would be shade. So she picked up the bowl in one hand and 3 grains of sand in the palm of her other and began walking. 1. She had no idea where she was, so she just picked a direction where the sun wasn't in her eyes and walked. But she only got a few steps. As she walked, those little specks of sand grew heavier and heavier, and soon she couldn't hold them up anymore, and they dropped back to the ground. Fine, she said, and on her hands and knees, she began counting her way slowly across the land, against the cruel desert winds. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. It's true that Bennett had not been looking where she was going, sliding along on one elbow and 2 knees, trying not to spill the precious contents of the slowly refilling copper bowl, while remaining balanced and counting with the remaining hand. Well, it took all her concentration, and she was tiring quickly from the effort. So she fell over, lost count, and spilled a half-hour worth of accumulated water when she bumped into... Actually, she wasn't sure what she had bumped into. Looking up, she became even less sure. Where is Penataxix? His stench is upon the wind. Bennett had never heard the name, yet somehow she knew it was the black demon from the tree. After cursing me, it disappeared into the sand back that way. 1, 2. I see. You are the most fortunate of mortals today, for, like Penataxix, I am a Djinn, but he is an old enemy of mine. Since you clearly spited him in some trivial fashion, I would spite him further by breaking your curse, but know that my assistance has a price. What must I do, Master Djinn? 1, 2. Do? Nothing. You need simply accept my bargain. I will break the curse, but in exchange, half of your life will belong to me. Or you can refuse and spend your entire mortal life counting sand. In my desert. Now, a day ago, had you asked Bennett if she would ever give up half her life in some demonic bargain, she would have laughed in your face. But given the alternative, and the not-so-subtle implied threat that she would become an unwanted guest should she refuse, irritating this second powerful being, Bennett nodded quickly. I accept your bargain, Master Djinn. 1, 2. Excellent. Then behold! Thank you, But then she felt a familiar pull. But I'm still cursed. She dropped to her knees and counted another couple grains in dismay. 2. The pillar, too, seemed at a loss for words. I am unable to break the curse. This is not good. Not good. Bennett felt hollow. For a moment, she had thought she was free, that her unimaginable doom had been lifted. Now, she felt foolish for believing another demon, and the prospect of a lifetime of meaningless counting seemed somehow even worse after having hope. Was this but another sick joke by that black monster? But the Djinn, which had previously treated the whole situation as little more than a game, now seemed to demonstrate very real dismay. What can I do? What can I do to fix this? 1, 2... Have you taken half my life, then? Even though you didn't cure me? No, not yet. I've not met my end of the bargain. But it seems that I cannot. That Penataxix has learned some vulgar curse which even I cannot unravel. I have to free you somehow. I have to make this right.
If I give you a boon that would allow you to escape the curse yourself, would you accept that? Would you consider my bargain to have been kept?
Nearly anyone in her desperate position would have agreed. What difference is it if she is free? But at this moment, Bennett made a tremendous leap of logic and suddenly realized what was really going on. Demons, or was it Djinni? 1, 2...
Meaningless mortal words. We are of the same ilk.
Demons must follow certain rules, must they not?
Many laws more ancient and subtle than you can comprehend.
And you cannot break your bargains, can you? 1, 2...
We do not lie, and we do not break our word, mortal. I am losing patience. Will you accept my boon in lieu of breaking the curse?
I wonder then, what would happen to you if I do not accept your compromise?
Do not tempt my wrath!
The wind swirled ferociously, sand whipping around, tearing at Bennett's clothing and scraping her skin. But although Bennett was gambling with her life, what she risked was not the life she might have had before, but rather the life of the sand counter. And Bennett was willing to bet that life that this djinn was bluffing. 1, 2...
Stop that infernal counting!
I'll make you a counteroffer, Master Djinn. If you grant this boon, and it indeed allows me to escape my curse, then you transport me safely to the edge of your lands. I will accept that as fulfillment in full of your bargain with me, but I will keep my life as my own.
You dare to command me?
The winds grew louder. The howling was near deafening. But Bennett noticed that the sands blowing against her skin grew no more abrasive, and nowhere did the scratches or scrapes draw any blood. Not command, bargain. If you don't accept my terms, 1, 2, then I know exactly what it means for me. I'm afraid I have no comprehension of what it means for you, but those are my terms.
Very well, mortal. I will teach you to count like a djinn.
1, 2, 3... Nothing has changed?
Of course not, if you count like a fool. But now you can count as Djinni do. Think of the number of grains of sand in this desert. But how many are there?
And Bennett spoke a number. It was a number so large that she had never learned or even heard of such a number. But as soon as she was asked, she knew it. And once it was said, her task was completed, and she needed count no more. Thank you, Master Djinn. Your power is truly impressive.
It is a great boon. Have I not met my end of the bargain?
Almost, Master Djinn. You have only to transport me safely beyond your realm, and I will deem our agreement complete.
I have done all that you asked, mortal.
And my life?
I have given you a great deal and taken nothing from you. My first offer was generous, despite my enemy. That which you have now received has cost me, and you should be most grateful and humble, and you would be wise not to meet me again.
I am most grateful, Master Djinn, and if all is as you say, then I hold your bargain with me to have been fulfilled in full, and that you owe me nothing more. I am honored to have met you.
You were eloquent in victory, mortal. I would like to see how polite you are when you lose. Goodbye.